Welcome back to the Cannon's YouTube channel. Now, I've been busy playing with my Slinky. You know, back in the day, I remember these being much better and more fun to play with. But hey, that's the power of nostalgia. So I thought to myself, what's the most nostalgic thing I can think of? Old video games as a kid, but what about an old video game based on an old toy you used to play with? And that led me to Stunt Track Driver and Stunt Track Driver 2 for the PC.
One of the first games I ever played as a kid for the PC on Windows 98. I was blown away. The graphics were unlike anything I've ever seen up to that point.
See, the thing my puny little child mind didn't realize at the time is it's more of a video than a video game.
Which is why when you slow down, everything around you slows down as well. But as a kid you hardly notice, because it's like playing with real Hot Wheels. Your imagination is filling in the gaps.
Now we look at gameplay. Now how could there be gameplay if you're on a set track? Well, what they did here was very clever.
The gameplay is pretty simple, sure, but it's true to the nature of a car on a track. The goal of the game is to complete 6 tracks in a given time. You turn with the arrow keys toward the direction of the track, and if you turn incorrectly, you crash. Crashing is only a brief inconvenience, and you respawn right back on the track. In fact, crashing might actually punish you more after the level is ended. And then you have the stunts, where the series gets its name. The more tricks you do, the larger the boost, and the greater chance you'll have of finishing the track on time. This is also how you earn new cars. Stunt physics are a little weird though, because you gain momentum the more stunts you do, but the stunts are satisfying to land. They give you a nice audiovisual treat. In fact, if you do enough stunts, you're treated to a lovely Windows 98 screensaver-esque fireworks show. Unfortunately, another disappointment with the game is the cars themselves. They're based on real Hot Wheels cars. Cool, but a lot of them just plain suck to play with. You start with a pretty decent car. It's got decent speed, acceleration, and handling. So why would you use the super slow truck that can't do any stunts? Well, it can do this. And this car is interesting. It takes a while to get up to top speed, and can't do stunts either. But at least it stays fast, giving it some validity. But I'd say stick with this blue car once you unlock it. It's the best all around. Each track ends with what I refer to as a finisher. And it's always fun to imagine how the tracks are gonna end, although some are definitely more creative than others. One of my favorites is the Venus flytrap that eats the car. But that's nothing compared to the sequel. In this game, animals have really developed a taste for Hot Wheels.
Gross. Honestly, I don't know what they see in those.
Although the one thing that the finishers have in common is that they all damage the car in some way.
It's weird that Hot Wheels wanted to promote the many ways you can damage their product. Oh shit, yeah, ka-ching. Now let's take a look at the tracks themselves. And each one is very unique with what they do within the confines of the theme.
It's pretty amazing how interesting they make a suburban house look. They create an incredible sense of scale. There's also some surprise bumps and obstacles on the track to keep you on your toes. But overall, it's a very easy first stage, and you don't even need to do stunts to pass. And how does this one end?
I don't know about you, but if I broke the TV on the first track, I think it's time to call it quits. Yeah, I broke the TV. Whatever, fuck you, I don't care. I'll keep building.
So now I assume that the kid got grounded because the next track is in his room. But lucky for him, he has a shit ton of Hot Wheels in there. And this kid's unhealthy Hot Wheels obsession is on full display here. And if he gets hungry, you needn't worry. He's saving some floor pizza.
Well, you know, he's not the only one who keeps food in unusual places.
Overall, this is a pretty easy second level, but there are a few spinny jumps that make it hard to judge your position. There's also one tricky part with the bed bounce. Your momentum increases even further, and you can't stop spinning, you can only steer it one way or another. And as this finisher shows, this was just some elaborate way of throwing out a car. Although personally, I prefer the direct method. The next track is one of the coolest in the games. Now you finally step outside the house and explore the greenhouse. It's really fun to weave in and out of the plants, and the music is just perfect.
Fun fact, when I got my first iPod, these were the songs I was listening to, unbeknownst to anyone around me.
The music in general is of such a high quality, catchy tunes that match the track themes perfectly, and also instruments to accompany them. The next track takes a bit of a spooky tone in the attic. And here we see the cat playing cat and mouse. And I also get the feeling that this family was involved in a museum heist. I mean, how else are you gonna procure medieval knight armor? Definitely not at a yard sale. Actually, I haven't been in a while. Let's find out. Okay, they might not have been, but these people sure have. At least they have a sense of humor about it. Also, the lighting is much darker, letting you know you're in for a more challenging course. With a few tricky turns, and plummeting into this mouse hole, where you encounter the cat's tail that sends you flying and can catch you off guard. And then there's a long jump, which gives you the opportunity to do a ton of stunts. Next up is the sandcastle track, and apparently the Hot Wheels obsession extends to the whole neighborhood, because there are freaking hot air balloons. Maybe it's just a Hot Wheels automotive town. There he is, truly the leader of an industry. Actually, more like, there we go. Anyway, this track is really cool, running through the sandcastles with a type of track I'm pretty sure doesn't exist. The next and final track is the basement track, and damn does it have a cool atmosphere. I mean, just look at the disco neon lights and glow-in-the-dark track. What kid wouldn't dream of this setup?
Let's just say I was inspired.
Anyway, this track is kinda hard, and it's the only track you have to do stunts to pass. Just not crashing isn't enough, and if you fail, it's back to the first track. But it only takes about 10 minutes to complete, so it's not overly punishing. And then it all ends rather anticlimactically with knocking over some cards.
Wow, the house of cards fell, wow. You started so high, Hot Wheels, the car smashed the TV.
Then watch the cool little epic movie, and you're done. Oh yeah, there's also create your own track, but it's just a way to strip pre-made track cutouts together. Even as a kid, it failed to impress me, or really entertain me. The setting is boring and there's really nothing too challenging, or a real point. A little fun to fool around with, but ultimately disappointing.
I mean, why are we adults? Why is there a stigma us playing with toys? This is making me want to do it. Think about all the stuff I can create with my adult mind. I added a loop. Damn. So that's the original Stunt Track Driver. Overall, a pretty great game. They're able to do some real imaginative things with the somewhat mundane suburban environment. Although the creative track is a little lackluster. The hell's that music?
Yeah, there's actually one more track. A secret track. You see, if you right-click the Mattel logo, you would select this track, and the music would begin to play.
Let me tell you, as a kid, this blew my damn mind. It's such a cool secret to put in there for kids. It's not obvious, but it's still easy enough for kids to discover.
The track itself is pretty interesting as well. It's made up of vector graphics and appears to be set in space. Even though it contains mostly reused assets from other tracks, it still manages to feel very unique, and it also has the longest jump in the game. Apparently, the publisher had no idea this track was in the game, and it was added in secret. So, the secret track was even a secret to the publishers. The idea of this track was to show kind of a behind the scenes on how the other tracks were created.
So now we move on to the second game, Stunt Truck Driver 2 Getting Dirty, or STD Getting Dirty.
And you can really see they've definitely kept the template of the original, but with an off-road twist. One thing that they didn't improve in the sequel is the shitty cars. I mean, look at this thing. But interestingly, there is one perfect car that you unlock after you beat the game, so you'll never have to deal with again. However, they did fix the bad creative track from the original and made it something unique and separate from the main game. Now it's full 3D. Still not much of a goal, but it is a cool extra thing to fool around with after you've beaten the main game. Plus, a cool detail is that the tracks from the main game border the area. The finishers also make a glorious return, and I swear someone strapped some fucking dynamite to these things. They've also changed the feel of the trick system, so it's less momentum based. However, there is an exploit in this. If you hold down up and a direction, you can do easy double revolutions, which makes the game less about what stunts can I do, and devolves it to how many of these can I do before I touch down. The theme of the game also allows for more variety in the environments. We start off with a happy frog pond. Again, very catchy and appropriate music, whizzing past waterfalls and even plunging underwater. It's cool that some of the cars from the first game come back as obstacles, and this is where you start to realize they've added alternate routes. You see, if you hold right, it takes you into an alternate and faster path. And there's also these coin things they added that give you a speed burst and slow down time. Sometimes you do find yourself steering into danger to risk collecting one. The next track is a garden track. A little boring if you ask me. Well, except for the next track is a cool exotic river. But it kind of makes me wonder, how is this kid getting to all these places?
Yeah, Mom, drive me down to the lake. Yeah, the one with the poisonous lizards and feral raccoons. You know, raccoons may look cute, they bite really freaking hard.
This also contains one of the hardest jumps in the game. If you choose to spin after bouncing off the life preserver, this happens, and it's a real gamble. The next track is the beach, and I love how the environment interacts with your car, like hitting the wind chimes. Or this crab leading the way. The next one is my favorite, and probably should have been the final level. There's spiders, snakes, and even a fully excavated T-Rex fossil. And I guess this kid continued on his quest to find the most dangerous places to build Hot Wheels.
Hey Mom, yo, you drive me to the caves? Yeah, the one with the T-Rex fossils and shit, yeah. All the coolest things are done in dangerous places, and
It's also a pretty tough stage, because sometimes it's hard to tell where you're gonna go next or where you're gonna land. The final stage is the treehouse, and it's kind of a disappointment given the last track. Instead of seeing snakes and lizards in the lava pits, you're dodging bird shit. And that's the end. There's disappointingly no secret track in this one, no matter how much you right-click that Mattel logo. Believe me, I've tried.
So that's Stunt Truck Driver and Stunt Truck Driver 2. Unfortunately, they never made a third one, which I think is a shame, because there's a lot of possibilities there. But now Hot Wheels games are just full-size cars racing on roads, and when they're tracks, they're huge. It doesn't really make sense. To me, Stunt Truck Driver is what Hot Wheels was supposed to be as a game. Anyway, enjoy your nostalgia, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna go see a doctor about that. God, fucking hell.
Thank you very much for watching my video. And while you're here, check out one of my other videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.